I appreciate it.
We are live, it says.
No, I didn't want that. Okay.
Also, it says we've been streaming for an hour. What?
It does that.
Well, hello, everyone.
Yeah, hi.
We've had a little bit of a gap, if you will. A break. Because we streamed the Game Awards. Which...
Umineko didn't win.
Yeah, no,
Rigged.
Umineko didn't win, unfortunately. It was another rigged year at the Game Awards, but, what can you say? You know, it's the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Although I will say, I do think this year's bit with the Muppets was the funniest one so far.
Oh my gosh, I hope those two always are the Muppets. It's not gonna be, but I don't know who they'll bring next year.
The self-aware referencing of all of the criticisms of the Game Awards.
Best. They were the best, man. What's the name of the guy? Beaker? The little meat guy? I recently found out they had him 1 year. I'm sure he was fine. And of course, the years we've done it, they had Miss Piggy and they had Animal.
Yep.
But like,
yeah, I believe Beaker was the year
stellar.
before we started streaming it, because I think I watched that one too.
I feel like I remember it, yeah. But yeah, I just want them to bring those two against Statler and Waldorf. Those were my heroes.
They're really good. This is for those of you in the audience who are interested in this kind of stuff, I found out more about the Elden Ring game, the new one.
Yeah.
It's not a direct sequel. In fact, it takes place before the events of Elden Ring.
Oh, interesting.
It's a roguelike.
I thought so.
And the goal is basically it's a boss rush. So it takes place over the course of 3 game day cycles, and during that time you're supposed to like gather more abilities and stuff, obviously. And then at the very end you fight a big strong boss, and then you're supposed to win with your friends. So I'm excited to play it because obviously
I was gonna say I'll be playing.
We did a whole co-op series together, and I never not enjoy playing the Souls games with my friends because I barely ever got to do it until Elden Ring, basically. So, but yeah, it also, because it's a roguelike, probably doesn't actually have any story or lore implications at all.
I was going to say, it seems like it's an asset flip from.
Yes, although there are some things that maybe we can draw stuff from, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's probably like, but a huge grain of salt for anything that comes out of Night Rain.
I think it'll be fun.
But yeah, now that makes a lot more sense as to why it's like everything ever is in Elden Ring, because it's supposed to be like a randomized boss rush where you just fight super strong bosses, and that makes sense why the Nameless King is there, and also bosses from like Dark Souls 1 and 2 are there as well, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool. I remember Miyazaki in an interview being told about the popularity of his the seamless co-op mods, and he was like, "I love that for people. Hopefully one day we'll be able to make something like that."
Well, apparently this might have just been a rumor that I heard. I don't remember, but I think they hired the seamless co-op guy.
Did they really?
I think so. That might just be a rumor though. But also, like, the whole way this started apparently was just some guy, like one of the like lower rank people in From, just came to Miyazaki and was like, I think we should get in on the roguelike business.
This will be cool. This will be one of the first ever AAA roguelikes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
And apparently Miyazaki like mulled it over, and then he was just like, you know what? Sure. And so now that employee is the director of Night Rain.
Funny. That's just like Miyazaki himself. That's cool. One last thing before we quit Elden nerding, but yeah, I think the other AAA roguelike was Returnal, which was a shooter, third-person shooter, sci-fi, single player. So I'm excited for a From roguelike. I've seen a Dark Souls 1 roguelike mod, and it seemed fun to me. I was actually considering playing it one time on the channel. I still yet may.
It's making me think back to when they first announced Elden Ring, and everyone was like, whoa, From's never done an open world game before. I wonder if they're going to be able to do it. Will it be any good? And then they knocked it out of the park. So I'm
going to be honest.
Trust them.
as a firm fan of the roguelike genre, I think it is the easiest game to make.
Yeah.
Well,
the formula
only-
isn't too hard.
No. I think the only thing that is easier to make than that is something with a battle pass. So, yeah.
Elden Lord Battle Pass.
The Elden Pass.
The Elden Pass.
Okay, well, anyway. Sorry to all the VOD watchers. You're going to want to skip ahead like 10 minutes.
skip
So,
I did already
catching
do
up from
our
last
audio
time.
check through all of that as well, so.
Oh, good. Last time, we ended Dawn of the Golden Witch.
Yes.
Now we're about to enter Requiem of the Golden Witch.
Yes, and I believe it was said, I'll do this so that VOD watchers will be like, oh, something's happening. So that they'll skip to this part and see it. But I said we were going to talk about the things that I had thought of leading up to this, because supposedly this is the beginning of everything being answered ever. And so I need to get it out there what my theories are now before they start getting answered.
True.
Oh, yeah, true. Sorry, I briefly read chat. I just saw the word loathsome, and I thought you were gonna be referring to a character in this, and I was like, who's he calling loathsome?
The Loathsome Golden Witch.
But yeah, so the main thing is obviously, who is Beatrice, right? We've had 6 episodes to think about it. She has asked us the question several times. Battler has asked the question several times. I don't have all the details, because, like, honestly, it would probably take me replaying 1 through 6 to get all the details. But, and I've already talked about this with Pertuset 2 times, wouldn't you believe it? Personally, I think it's Shannon. I think Shannon is Beatrice, but also not quite Beatrice at the same time. The theory I kind of came around to in the last conversation I had with Pertuset about it, which was post last stream, was that there have been a lot of hints that have been given to us over the course of the 6 episodes that in the past, Battler had a little boy crush on Shannon when they were young. I mean, that was talked about with George most recently, when George was like, I was jealous of him. And we got that flashback where Battler was talking to someone when they were young, and he was talking about what kind of girl he would like. In that conversation, he specifically pointed out Jessica, which made me think he wasn't speaking to Jessica, which made me think, literally, who else could he have been talking to in that would have asked him what kind of girl did he like? I guess it could have been George, but I don't see it. And also, I feel like they wouldn't have shown us that if it was George. It wouldn't have been important if it was George. Unless we would have seen it, when George was doing his whole big, I became a better person for you, to Shannon, right? Anyways. So that leaves it to be Shannon, obviously. And so my little theory I've concocted here, which can go 2 ways. There's the magic point of view of it, which I actually kind of didn't really talk about that much, but obviously it's because the magic point of view is much easier to explain. And then there's the not magic point of view of it. And the not magic point of view of it is Shannon also had a crush on Battler, and then Battler went away for 6 years and didn't come back after promising, because it was mentioned way back that he promised to come back and take her away from the island like a knight on a horse, right? So Shannon was in love with Battler. Battler broke his promise and didn't come back and take her away like a knight on a horse, which I think is his sin, or at least it's related to that in some way. And then at the end of episode 6, we got that whole thing from Beatrice where she became Beatrice again, where we had that voice that was like, I can't be you anymore, but I can see you and watch over you, and you have all of my love for Battler now because I can't love Battler anymore. And obviously that's supposed to be a fake out for the Beatrice we saw die in, what was it, episode 5? Or 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5. So that's supposed to be a fake out and make you think, oh, that's that Beatrice, and she's giving this on to this new Beatrice. But what if that's not true at all, and really that Shannon, way back, being like, I've decided to move on from Battler because he broke his promise to me. I don't love him anymore. Or at least I, Shannon, can't love him anymore, but I want that love for him to persist, so I'm giving it on to something else. And what else is there on the island that she probably comes into contact frequently? This idea of the witch. So Shannon foists her feelings for Battler onto this personification of the witch that she's created, thus bringing about the change of the witch that we've seen in the story from the Witch of Rokkenjima to the witch that loves Battler. And the not magic theory was basically Shannon, like, developed a split personality because of this, and so she is Beatrice, but also Shannon at the same time, and that's why, like, she doesn't remember doing any of the Beatrice stuff, because it's a different person, technically, because it's, like, a different slot in her brain, and that kind of can get convoluted and complicated, obviously, and Pertuset kept asking me questions, as he does, where he was like, but what about X? And what about Y? And then I had to think of all those things, and I still don't think I've answered all those questions either, necessarily. We did, the very first time we talked about this, I talked about some weird thing I concocted about how, like, George was also involved somehow, but I don't remember what that was now, but it had something to do with, like, because George is in a relationship with her, he takes part in the murders as well. I don't remember. That was like a month ago at this point, maybe 3 weeks when we talked about it that time. So, but then obviously the other side of the coin, the magic explanation, if magic do be real, if you believe in it, if you have love, simply Shannon created this new idea of Beatrice, and it became the new Beatrice through her love for Battler, which she passed on, I guess is the way to put it, to Beatrice, thus creating the Beatrice that also loves Battler now, and combining those two concepts of the witch together. So, right. Long story short, I think Beatrice is Shannon.
Round of applause for his hard work, folks. That is not indicative of your correctness, but nevertheless, you put in work on the theory.
Yes.
And that's important. There are still hanging chats that you did leave unanswered, which I'm sure the audience can think of as well. I think one of the big ones is the man from 19 years ago thing.
Yes. I still haven't really figured that one out. Also, yeah, I was about to load us into episode 6 and forgot that we were
I saw you doing that, and I was
7.
like, before we read that, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up about that I thought was worthwhile. I had asked Levi, I don't know if I did it in the stream last stream, or if I don't think I did, about if Shannon is, why does she die in many of the episodes?
Yeah.
That's another
point.
The
magic explanation makes it very easy to explain, but also, as we do with all of these, there needs to be a way to explain it without magic. Because as said several times in episode 6, and, like, kind of mentioned a little bit before that, if you can't do it without magic, you can't do it with magic either.
True.
So that is a little bit of a roadblock in my theory there, but we'll see.
And the last thing I wanted to ask you about, which is going to tie us right into this one, I feel like, you may have answered it last time, but I can't recall. I will say real quickly to Duke Onclid, you can write your theories. I would advise you save them for after the stream and comment them.
Yeah.
Instead of putting them in the live chat, because that way they'll actually be somewhere. Because I'm afraid the live chat will go away.
Yeah, because then if you do that, next stream we could refer back to it if we wanted to. Like Pertuset could pull up that stream and look at it and read it.
Yes, and of course also that way if you put it in the comments, it'll stick to a place that's relevant in the story. So if you go put a comment in episode 1 of the first episode about your theories from this, that might spoil it for any newcomers. But anyway, the question I was going to ask about the fact that the last thread we got was there's only 16 people on the island.
One's
Kinzo's dead.
Weird.
But Erica's there.
Yup. Which means one of those people is either not a people, or, which probably isn't the case, because they've been with us for 6 episodes, or one of them like isn't real. And I posed the idea that perhaps Canon wasn't real, but I don't remember what my logic was.
I think it had to do with the last scene about how Canon was able to save Battler
Yes.
from the locked room.
But honestly, I feel like it's easier to say any of the servants aren't real than any of the family, because the family, like, it's really hard to be like, they're not real, they're not there, everyone's mass hallucinating them because they've been there for years. But also, yeah, I think part of my reasoning, which I didn't bring up, I think, was because of the fact that, like, obviously Goda has been there the shortest amount of time, but I think after him it's been technically, out of all the ones we see, Canon and Shannon.
I believe that's right.
Obviously, there are others that have been mentioned in the story, like Lunon, and others that probably haven't been there as long as Canon and Shannon, but they're not there right now. So that's what I'm basing that off of. Is like they have only been there within technically recent memory, although that recent memory does go all the way back to when the current cousins are kids. So that is still a while. In the same vein, I suppose it could be Goda. Goda's not very integral to the overall story. He could just not be there. Someone else could fill his role entirely.
Well, I suppose you'll soon have your answers, your theories tested, and your answers given.
Yeah.
Though, while I've been building this up as the one that gives the answers, and that's still definitely true, they don't outright say them. It is buried in
still have to think.
Metaphor. Yeah, you'll have to read between the lines a bit, which I may try to massage, like push along, because you're not gonna get I don't know. The answers that are answered, the questions that are answered in this are not going to be answered more in episode 8. So I'd rather make sure that you walk away with a complete understanding, but at the same time I want to let you mull. So I might just wait. I might wait till we're done with episode 7 and then be like,
I mean,
what do you think?
It'll be several streams anyways, so we have time.
True. Now, the last thing I'll say before we read... What?
I was going to talk to Duke Onklid real quick.
Okay.
I was going to say, feel free to put stuff in the live chat if you want. Just afterwards, I would just recommend writing down a whole theory if you want to.
Any long-winded thing, I would
but
say.
you can, like, if you would just have, like, a sentence or two that you're like, but what if this thing? You could, go ahead and put that in, and then we'll discuss it and or include it in what we're talking about.
True. Now, my last thing before we read, again, sorry VOD watchers, is, I feel like it's warranted after the ending of the last one, though. The word count for the last episode was 139,025 words.
Shoo.
Or about 463 pages. This one we're about to do is 105,640, down to 352 pages. So it should feel significantly shorter.
Hopefully. Well, not really hopefully. I shouldn't say that.
True.
All right.
We will see.
Without further ado, Episode 7, Requiem of the Golden Witch. Good morning. Scheduled for today is the funeral of the Golden Witch and her game. The days of the game are already over, and nothing remains but fond memories. Here, the cold, hard truth will be revealed, and death will come to the game. There is a bit of difficulty to this one.
Yay.
This story is very obviously fictional and fantastical in nature, and any resemblance to existing individuals, organizations, locations, or incidents is entirely coincidental.
Yeah.
Oh. Church. I'll just read it in my voice for now. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, illusions to illusions, and dreams to dreams. A dream is something drawn in the sand between the coming and receding waves, something so fragile that it's wiped blank every time a wave comes in. So, the heartless might sneer, saying that drawing such things is useless and meaningless. However, no wave will ever come again to wipe away the dream she drew. And now, that final, beautiful dream of hers will not disappear for all eternity. Come, try and picture it. It's as though the rays of the gentle afternoon sun on a warm spring day simply forgot to grow dim ever again. It truly is such a wonderful thing. Witness to your final dream. Publius Virgilia Maro. New room.
Oh boy.
I
We're
see.
already getting this.
I see. I read what it said at the bottom, and I'm like, oh, okay.
This is a new song by
Whoa!
BTS called. Wait,
Yeah.
wait, I think we've already had this one. Yeah, Liberated Liberator. We had it at the end last time.
We're already getting into something. The music's picking up.
will-
What's happening?
Yep.
What?
I'll tell you any non-named characters I'm going to read for this scene because
Okay.
you're up next for a named character.
Okay. The suspects were gathered in a room, and several inquisitors of heresy were reporting on the results of their investigation. Their uniforms closely resembled those of Einzeljungfrau, but they were slightly different. Also different were the badges signifying their department. Then came the sound of someone clapping their hands once. It was the lead female inquisitor. She was announcing that all reasoning had been completed.
As has been shown, it is all quite clear. Know that the preceding logic has proven the non-existence of your alibi.
At the other end of her pointing finger was a quivering maid with frightened eyes. Her name was... No, that's not important. What matters now is that she could have entered the closed room study where the victim was found whenever she pleased, and furthermore, that her claimed alibi for the time of the crime has been proven to contradict the facts. Shaking, the maid tried to continue in her illogical pleading, but all of her statements had already been seen through.
With this, we conclude our proof of the whodunit and the howdunit. Know that your position as the culprit is now an unshakable fact. You must be joking. Why would I kill the master I loved and respected so? I have no motive, no reason. Who did it and how? Know that establishing these is more than sufficient. Please allow me to speak. Know that motives are unnecessary in mysteries.
The Inquisitor spoke coldly. Virgilia into church? After finishing her witch's prayer, Virgilia stepped back from the coffin, which lay on an altar bedecked with many beautiful roses. In her place, Battler moved to the front of the coffin, wearing his territory lord's cape. Though the cape was supposed to represent dignity and majesty, it somehow made Battler look smaller. Battler held a book with a majestic binding in his hand. It was a game record that had just been written. Or perhaps it was a tale, a game, or else a fragment. Written in it was the dream that would be more enjoyable for her than any other. Battler pressed it against his forehead and contemplated for some time. Then he kissed it and laid it gently in the coffin. It rested upon her chest. She looked like a little girl clutching her favorite stuffed animal as she drifted off to sleep. This is the sole tale I have to offer up to you. This tale will be shut up with you in your coffin for all eternity. So, no one will be able to read it except for you, there, in your coffin.
Shut it away in that cat box. The only unchanging, inviolable, eternal tale.
This way, no one will be able to defile it. No one can deny it, and no one can argue against it. This is just between me and her. Just the two of us. Our one and only certain truth. Whoa! Those bastards. A man dashed through a town wrapped in twilight. The daytime hustle and bustle of this beautiful village, which combined the traditional with the orderly and the classic style of the last century, now seemed like a mere dream. The orange setting sun was already hidden behind the clock tower, and the narrow alleyway was rapidly descending into darkness. As the gas lights began to turn on, they only made the darkness of the twilight stand out all the more. The man sprinted. There was no time. He had to hurry. He'd had several experiments to do and things he had to check, and it had all taken longer than he'd expected.
Okay. This is you. I'm trying to think your direction.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is cutting. I hesitate to say edgy. He's very Jotaro pilled, right? He's cool because he doesn't care. But he's not like fake cool. He's not like cringe cool. He's actually cool.
Okay.
And he's youngish, but he's not super young. He's
Okay.
like 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, there's no mistake there. The whodunit and the howdunit are more than enough in the mystery genre. In the mystery genre, the motive, or the why-done-it, is given the lowest priority. To have a murder, you need to have a culprit, and he needs to commit a crime. Motive isn't required for that. So, it's usually the most ignored element. In fact, these days, there are even some who call it unnecessary. If you find the culprit with nothing but the why-done-it, that's no mystery. That's propaganda. However, just because of that fact, it doesn't mean you can neglect the motive. The heart.
The honking horn? Did you hear that?
I did. Sorry, I was typing the name list.
We both know how much fun she'll be having in her final sleep. So, I doubt anyone could disturb it. After all, who could possibly disturb a sleeping child smiling at a happy dream? Come. It is time for us to leave. If we're too noisy, we'll wake her from her dream.
You're right. What else should you do with the sleeping kid? Except put a blanket on him, turn off the lights, and walk away quietly. After looking at the coffin one last time, Virgilia turned around quietly. Battler did the same. But then, he stopped and turned to face the rose-covered altar. Battler offered up his final words within his heart. As long as those words didn't leave his mouth, no one would be able to know what they were. However, those words of the heart caused Battler's expression to change several times. At first, he frowned sadly. Then, his face clouded with remorse. And then changed to a bitter, exasperated smile. It flashed through several varied expressions. Then, the final expression that crossed his face was, surprisingly, a gentle smile. Something rose to Battler's lips. However, he bit it back down. There could certainly be no words to describe the many feelings he kept in his chest. So, saying anything aloud would probably be crude. Battler understood this, and stopped himself from speaking once more with a wry smile. Thank you.
Oh, I have done nothing to deserve your gratitude.
I'll leave the rest to you. After seeing Virgilia nod back at him, Battler turned away from the altar one more time and left the chapel. Virgilia also disappeared. And with that, all disturbances that might have interrupted her blissful sleep had vanished. What is this back and forth? The Inquisitors of Heresy listened with calm, no, scornful gazes.
Whoa!
They listened to the frantic babbling of the maid accused of murdering her master. However, nothing she said could bury the fault in her own alibi. They were all mere emotional arguments. I loved and respected the master so much, I had no motive for killing him. No matter how much she spoke, it only made her look more and more like the floundering true culprit struggling pathetically. The requirements for the whodunit and the howdunit had been satisfied. As for the whydunit, the motive, the heart. No matter how much she spoke of gratitude for her master, who had graciously given her a job when she'd been left by the wayside after various misfortunes, it didn't help her case in the slightest in the mystery genre. Therefore, the motive didn't matter. All of that could be squeezed out of the culprit afterwards. An Inquisitor of Heresy took out a roll of parchment and held it forth, cutting off the maid's sobs and protests.
This is how you committed the crime. Know that this indictment has been received by the Great Court and that your arrest has been approved. Here is the warrant for your arrest. Motive is unnecessary. Know that such a thing is completely extraneous to the matter of pinpointing the culprit. Please allow me to speak. Know that we of the SSVD possess methods of forcing unrepentant criminals to reveal the truth. With these interrogation tools blessed by the powers of justice, we Inquisitors of Heresy will strap up your limbs, burn you, crush you, stretch you, and hang you. And in so doing, wring the red truth out of you. It isn't even necessary for you to confess. Aides, arrest that maid! It wasn't me! I didn't kill the master! No! No!
Hold it right there. You've got the wrong culprit. A man kicked the door open, and the Inquisitors were all shocked at the sight of him.
Why are you here? Know that this case is no longer your responsibility.
Quiet. You find one person without an alibi and just assume that she's the culprit? Do you really think there's no need for a motive, for a heart in crime? Crimes are committed by people. There are no crimes without a heart. I'll never accept a theory that neglects the heart.
Know that your obsession over the why done it is simply embarrassing. The why done it is unnecessary. Such a thing can be extracted easily through interrogation. Even the Great Court has already acknowledged that this woman is the culprit.
True. The Great Court does assume that everyone besides the maid has an alibi. But that's just because they heard you say so, and they've mistaken your overconfidence and conceit for wisdom. If any one of the other suspects loses their alibi, your evidence so far proves nothing. Just look at how pathetic some of these other alibis are. Did the clock in the reception hall chime midnight at exactly the right time? Did the dog by the back door bark at everyone? So, you managed to prove the maid's alibi false. Congratulations. But does it end there? It may have been possible for her to do it, but does she have any motive at all? Are the alibis for the others absolutely perfect? This maid wasn't the only one with a false alibi. You have to keep on searching if you want to find the others. Was there some sort of grudge against the victim, or some money-related problem? Don't abandon motive. Don't abandon the heart. Dry mysteries where the motive can just be figured out later aren't worth anyone's time.
If the maid isn't the culprit, then why did she fake an alibi? Even asking such a question is a waste of time. Know that we just have to interrogate her, wring out the red truth, and have her sign in red blood to everything that happened at the time of the crime.
Yeah, you probably can do that. You can just use that torture of yours to squeeze out everything frankly and objectively as seen from the eyes of God. But you know what? I'll never accept mysteries and theories that lack heart.
I have already taken over responsibility for this case. I even have a decree right here. Come now, aides. Know that there is no reason to hesitate. I order you to arrest this maid.
When she gave this order, her subordinates hesitated, looking back and forth between their superior and that man.
I won't let you. The real culprit's a different person. It's possible to use motive to find them, and their alibi trick is an old one. You can't neglect the heart.
They really like high-popped collars.
Yeah.
The men in this franchise.
There's no need for that. We just have to find the suspicious ones who could have committed the crime, interrogate them, and squeeze out the red truth. On the off chance that they aren't the culprit, then we just have to interrogate the next suspect.
You call that reasoning?
Stand back! We will arrest that woman! Know that this maid is the culprit!
He's got narrow eyes.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Thin eyes. It is forbidden for a servant to be the culprit.
What did you say?
The words of power blasted away the aides trying to arrest the maid.
Van Dyne's 20 rules. Rule 11. Who?
Not more. We're almost done. I didn't think there would be more.
If you want to torture this maid, make sure you double check the alibis for the second wife and her lover first.
Those two already have a clear alibi for the time of the crime.
That? An alibi. Damn it. A fool like you couldn't understand no matter how easy I make it for you. If you want to call yourself the head inquisitor, try and figure out at least that much for yourself. Until then, I'll be taking that maid's arrest warrant.
Then what about you? Can you prove that this maid didn't commit the crime? Know that she was clearly away from the kitchen at the time of the crime. What was she doing then, and where? She can't prove it, I can't prove it, and you can't prove it, no one can! That's why we have no choice but to use these torture devices to interrogate her until the red truth is squeezed out.
You can squeeze as much blood and truth from the true culprit as you damn well please. However, I won't let you interrogate or torture anyone who isn't that culprit.
This is why everyone says you're too soft. All the suspicious must be interrogated. This is how we Inquisitors of Heresy conduct our witch trials.
That's right. We are Inquisitors of Heresy. Felling evil witches is our job. However, we mustn't risk hurting the innocent. We mustn't put them under suspicion. All humans have their own personal truths. Those should only be exposed when they commit crimes. We've been given the right to expose them. But there's one thing we can't do.
What?
No one, not even God, has the right to expose the innocent truths of those who have not sinned. The maid finally realized that he was trying to protect her.
I don't know who you are, but thank you very much. I'm really not the culprit.
Yeah, I know. Your boyfriend said he'd be willing to give up everything to prove your alibi. You should thank him. That kid said that honor and reputation are worth nothing compared to you.
But if he does that,
It won't come to that. Exposing the secrets between lovers is a job for third-rate magazines. That's not mystery. I'll never allow for heartless reasoning. Then, for the first time, the man's sullen expression relaxed, and he patted the maid's head roughly. I'm sure you two will be happy together. Still, meeting together in secret while on the job is hardly praiseworthy. Try to keep that to a minimum.
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
These words were heard only by the two of them. The man had learned of her innocence, which could only be proven by exposing the secrets of a pair of young lovers. And he had rushed about in search of a solution, resentful of the arrogance of those trying to expose this by forcible means.
The point of theory-making is not to create a culprit, or to trample the truths that lie in the hearts of those who have not sinned. If you want to play the detective, don't neglect the heart. Otherwise, we're just intellectual rapists. Don't forget it.
When the man spoke, the Inquisitors no longer had any way to argue back. This man's name is Will. And yet, that's not what everyone used to call him. Head Inquisitor of Heresy of the SSVD, the 8th District Repentance Enforcement Agency of the Great Court of Heaven. Wizard Hunting Right. Willard?
Willard.
Oh, Willard, true, Willard.
Yeah. No I, no second I.
Not William. Willard.
Yeah. Well, it's for the same reason Dylan or A. Knox.
Sorry, I was...
This is the last thing I have to pass on to you guys. If you want to be the next Wizard Hunting Right, remember it. No matter what.
Get your ears ready.
New opening?
Yes.
strangely ethereal.
Yes. This one's called Kiri no Pithos. I don't know what that means.
There's someone in that window. eyes open for everything right now.
Yeah.
That shot just reminded me how short those two witches were.
Yeah. I love the opening.
I like that one better than the last opening.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I want to see if I can translate it. Because I don't know what it means.
Rokkenjima?
Foggy Pethos. Whatever a Pethos is.
Quietly. Quietly. The rain fell down.
Oh. A Pethos, I feel bad, I feel like I should have known this, are the big jugs they used in like ancient Greece that often had things, depictions on them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't know they had a specific name.
I didn't either. But no, so that translates to foggy big jug.
Interesting. Wonder if that's supposed to be like a metaphor for something in this.
Probably not. The lyrics are very interesting. I looked at those. But yeah, that's all.
Well, you're not gonna read them?
No, there's a lot.
Dang, okay.
I will tell you that it's funny. So, Willard H. Wright, you know he's going to be here now.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
No.
He was one line mentioned in Dylanor Knox's introductory tips menu. As being more powerful. No, but you have this now.
Yeah. He's got a weird sash going on there. What is happening right here? What is this? It goes like in his shirt. It like disappears in.
What does?
His little purple sash. See how they
Don't worry about that.
Okay. Well, I suppose I can read this since we've got
Go
it
ahead.
now. A member of the SSVD, the 8th District Repentance Enforcement Agency of the Great Court of Heaven, an Inquisitor of Heresy, and a first-class Archbishop. He is commonly known as Rite of the 20 Wedges, or Wizard Hunting Rite. He was an ace Inquisitor of Heresy in his youth, feared for being both ruthless and merciless in his work. However, at some point, there was a change in his work attitude, and his previous flashy escapades became a thing of the past. His current style is often fickle, alternating between laziness and obsessive bursts of energy regarding mere trifles. By now, everyone has given up trying to understand him. He has already filed his resignation and had it accepted. Only a few days remain before he'll lose the name of Wright. Oh.
Indeed. He is in reference to the author who wrote under the pen name SSVD. Or SS Van Dyne.
Okay.
And the actual author's real name
So they
was
used
Willard.
the Van Dyne rules. That's why he said that.
Yes. His true name, the author's real name was Willard H. Wright.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So yeah. That's his lore.
So
that we
each
can mention now.
district has their own book of rules that's different.
You could probably extrapolate that as such. You would have to figure out what 8 authors there are.
The 8 authors.
There's 2.
Interesting.
One I would imagine
Christie's
would have to be
47th.
Christie. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know if she ever wrote any rules. She probably did at some point, but I don't know.
That would be interesting if there was one agency that just didn't have a book of rules.
True. Hey, mysteries.
We go more off of vibes. We get
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, well. I don't think these are going to be changed. I'll give them a brief. Well, this one is slightly changed.
Yeah.
Miko, Witch of Theater, going. 7th game, conducts Byaku's funeral. Defeated in previous game, making her the loser. She has proclaimed that she will tear out the guts of Byaku's games to satisfy her irritation. And yet. What's going on here? What's this? What's this little red connection right here? I don't remember
what
what
was
the red means.
used?
Wait, is it red over here for the relations? There's no one.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Dang. It's all gone. A little magician. Interesting. Who has inherited the black blood from Kinzo. What? Unlike Kinzo, she was gifted with talent. Dang! And began to tread the path of the magician. Magician. For some reason, my brain wanted to say musician.
Yeah.
From a young age. However, her power is still weak, and she hasn't yet graduated from an apprentice's level. However, she is skilled with enchantments, which bestow magical power upon objects, and the magical items she creates are all master class. Now that has been said before. I think the first time we saw her as this.
Yep.
Golden Witch, lived for 1,000 years, surpassed limits of humans, and like demons, will sometimes appear in response to summons made by humans to offer her power in exchange for a price. She likes black tea and ice cream. She hates boredom and people who deny her existence. That's the very first one! Mm-hmm. This is the original Beatrice description.
Yep.
Dang. Full circle. Hi, Virgilia. Yeah, it switches between them. Anything new? Doesn't seem like it.
I don't think so.
Head furniture.
That's him.
Doesn't seem like anything new. Nope. Hairstyle change simulator. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that. That's going to take me... I want to see the one that has people on it.
Okay.
Okay. Well. The rain of sadness dripped down the outer walls of the chapel, quietly washing away the dust of the world of the living. The chapel doors were open. During a wedding, only those with invitations are allowed inside. However, during a funeral, the doors are open to all who remember the deceased. So, this must be a funeral. A shadow holding an umbrella approached the chapel. I got an achievement. That scared me.
You did?
Yes, I don't know. Oh, well, no, yeah, you usually get an achievement at the beginning of each one, too.
Oh, okay.
It was Will. The achievement is
Will.
A new visitor approaches.
Oh.
Something's different this time. Which I believe is the description of every achievement at the beginning of every episode. At least in Answers arcs. The description of every one of them has been something's different this time.
Yeah.
Why do you have to open the door if it was open to everyone? Whoa! A reception desk had been set up in the chapel's entrance. As the shadow approached, Kenon, who had been sitting at this desk, stood up and welcomed him with a bow.
This is the reception desk. We are collecting the names of all mourners. If you would sign in here.
Sorry, but I'm not a mourner. I'm here to meet with someone.
You came to a funeral to meet someone?
A dubious expression rose to Canon's face. Will pulled an envelope from his pocket and showed him the sender's name.
My apologies. Please enter.
Thanks. Could I at least have one of those?
Thank you very much. I'm sure she will be pleased.
Canon handed him one of a set of golden roses, which were being handed out to all the mourners. Will took it, silently bowed his head, and entered the chapel.
Inside the chapel, several people who appeared to be the family of the deceased were gathered, and they all seemed to be recalling memories of the departed.
Dang. Okay, here we go. Oh, Beatrice! Why?
Father, please take care. Why don't you rest in the waiting room for a bit? I killed her. I did it. Absurd. How could that be, Rosa-sama? Father's really bawling.
Yeah, Beatrice, huh? I'm sure he didn't cry this much when Mother passed away.
Hey, now's not the time to say things like that. Some sobbed, unable to contain their tears, and some spoke softly of old memories. They were all remembering the dead in their own way, it seemed. When Will approached the altar, several people turned around. Of course, none of them knew who Will was. Paying this no mind, Will walked in front of the casket on the altar, which seemed to be buried under golden roses. Inside the casket, there was no corpse. There's nothing inside. Instead, as though it lay there in place of a body, was a single, thick book with an extravagant binding. The space all around it was filled with countless golden roses. There were words printed on the book's cover. To my beloved Beatrice, October 5th, 1986. Miss Beatrice. If it was Mrs., then forgive me. I've never met you. However, allow me to express my condolences. He took the rose he had received from the reception area and placed it in the casket. He had absolutely no connection to the woman called Beatrice. However, since he had come to visit a funeral, he had to show this minimum amount of respect for the dead. As part of this, Will prayed for the passage of the dead into the next world. Pardon me, but who might you be? I am Ushiromiya Kraus. I'm serving as the chief mourner. This is my child, Lion. What?
Pronounced Leon.
Leon.
Oh gosh. Okay, this is gonna be me. I gotta think how the heck to do this voice. How do I sound androgynous?
Wait.
What? What?
We're just gonna gloss over this? We're just...
What do you mean? Also, over what? That's his child, Leon.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Ushiromiya Leon.
Leon? Who the heck are you?
It's written as but pronounced Leon. I guess it is a bit strange for a Japanese name.
Will stared at Leon's face, wearing a confused expression. He hadn't seemed particularly interested in Kraus, but Leon had apparently drawn some sort of reaction from him. Rather than interest, it was more as though he felt something was out of place. Kraus-sama, Madam says it is about time. Ah, I see. Ladies and gentlemen, if we're too noisy in here, it may disturb the dead. I've been told that the waiting room has been readied. Shall we move over there? When Kraus called out to everyone, they began to move towards the chapel waiting room.
My apologies. Leon, could you entertain our guest for now? I will guide the others to the waiting room.
Yes, Father.
It looked like a natural conversation with no awkwardness for either father or child. They're going out of their way not to say.
Father and child, is it?
Yes, but why do you ask?
Ushiromiya Krause's child is supposed to be Jessica.
Jessica's my little sister. Do you need me to call for her?
No, that won't be necessary. Apparently, some sort of game was already being played right off the bat. Scratching at his head with an irritated look on his face, Will glanced around. Is he gonna be the challenger to the witch in this one?
I will also say, while we got the chance, there's a lot of new music in episode 7 because it's a very weird episode, as you've already no doubt seen. So it basically overhauls and gets rid of almost all of the normal undertone music and makes its own.
Oh.
Yeah, this first one we're listening to now is called Le Four Octobre.
French!
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway.
Pardon me, but what sort of relation did you have with the deceased?
None at all. It's a real pain.
Then why did you come to this funeral?
Since Leon was a fairly mild person, Will's behavior was met with nothing more than a blank expression. A normal person would probably have put on a dubious look long before this. Will scratched his head again and yelled angrily at someone other than Leon.
I'm here. Isn't it about time you showed your face?
The members of the Ushiromiya family had already followed Krause's instructions and moved to the waiting room. By now, no one could be seen in this cold, vast chapel decorated with gold roses, except for Will and Leon.
This is... I feel like it's spoilers to say it, but it's Burn Castell.
I thought it was going to be.
So, you've come. Wizard hunting right. Inquisitor of heresy.
They would show it soon anyway.
The girl's voice came suddenly from behind the pair.
This is another one of the new songs. This one is L&D Circulation.
When Leon turned around in surprise, a girl had appeared out of nowhere and drifted down on top of the altar. She landed softly on the sacred funeral altar as though this was perfectly normal, crushing the golden roses under her shoes. Of course, Leon didn't know this girl. Just why on earth were all of these people unrelated to the funeral popping up one after another?
I'm already retired. If you have a job you need doing, go ask the new right.
No. You're the one I want to ask. I'm giving this case to you. Did you read the tale I sent you?
I skimmed it.
I don't know who you are, but please get down from there. That's a sacred altar.
Snapping out of a daze, Leon told the girl to get down off the altar, but she ignored this completely. On top of that, Will kept on talking to the girl as though Leon wasn't even there.
I hear this is Leon. Who is that, exactly?
You've already heard who.
Ushiromiya Leon.
There's no case of a person with that name appearing in any of the previous games. Is this your piece?
No. It's a true and proper piece of this game board. A character appearing in the story.
You're the game master. That means it's your piece.
I've just moved from Beato's cat box into a larger cat box. Leon's one of the pieces who has a possibility of appearing inside it.
Ah, I see. In other words, it's your piece.
It's a piece I've placed. Would be the correct way to say it.
So you're saying this piece isn't your subordinate, like Erica?
Erica? Who's that?
Rip. Erica, son? Huh?
Don't try to understand. You'll just get a headache. Leon didn't have a clue what they were talking about. However, though neither person was familiar, it seemed clear that they both knew a lot about the Ushiromiya family.
I don't know what you two are talking about. Anyway, you girl, please get down off the altar. I ask this as the successor to the Ushiromiya family headship.
Even Leon was finally forced to speak in a raised voice to that girl, who continued to chat while casually standing on the altar. However, the girl ignored this completely. On the other hand, Will did show a reaction. The successor is supposed to be Kraus.
My father, Kraus, will be the acting head until I turn 20. Then I am to succeed the headship.
First I've heard of this. Can you prove it? It seemed that even Leon was starting to get ticked off by now. That calm expression appeared to twitch slightly.
This is the successor's silver ring of the one-winged eagle. Is that proof enough for you?
A silver ring. The golden head's ring has appeared several times, but I've never heard anything about a silver ring for the successor. I don't remember Kraus or Jessica ever wearing one of those.
I'm glad. For someone who's just skimmed it, it seems you've read it pretty well.
When a witch hands you a story, you never know when something absurd will pop up. Especially when it's a great witch from the Senate.
Who in the world are you two? Sorry, but I don't have a clue what you're talking about. If you finished offering flowers for the departed, please make your exit. It seems you two aren't worthy of our family's hospitality.
Leon finally ran out of patience. These were the strictest words that this gentle kid could unleash. However, Will and the girl seemed not to care at all. I didn't come here because I wanted to.
Oh, we're wasting time, so let's move onwards. Right. Try and beat this game. As the game master, Bernkastel, I invite you to join in.
I refuse.
Why?
I'm retired now. Reasoning and mysteries aren't my business anymore.
How do you intend to spend the rest of your life? Is wizard hunting right? Going to give up witch hunting?
There's still fox hunting and clam hunting to look forward to.
I love clam hunting.
I didn't come here to discuss the rest of my life with you.
So you came here to refuse?
Know that your powers of deduction are truly a sight to behold.
Then do as you will. Go wherever you please. That is, assuming that you can leave this place.
So, what are the terms in payment?
In truth, Will had resigned himself from the beginning. He knew that he was incapable of refusing an invitation from the great Lady Bernkastel.
Who killed Beatrice? That's my game. In payment, I'll forgive you for your insolence and let you leave this chapel.
I hear that boredom-hating witches just love being spoken to rudely.
That's only for hags who've tired of life after 1,000 years. I'm still plenty young, so I love thinking up horrible fates in which to trap rude men like you.
So, who's my enemy?
There is none. There's no one to stand in your way. I just want to sit back and watch you make your beautiful checkmate in this game. I've even found you an ally. That's what this Leon is for.
After hearing that name spoken out of the blue, Leon frowned once more. Apparently, they were moving things along without Leon's knowledge or understanding, which the latter seemed to find truly irritating. It's really funny envisioning that she's like 5 feet from him and then just does that to get like 2 feet from him.
Yeah, she would.
Leon is a member of the Ushiromiya family, and should prove to be a useful ally, seeing as no one in the family knows you.
I'm not sure what this is all about, but I can hardly be of assistance until I know what's going on here.
There, see? With help like this, it'll be a piece of cake.
Entertain me and my master. Wizard hunting, right? I may be a polite theater goer, but I might throw popcorn at you if I get bored, okay?
It's weird having her refer to someone as her master.
I know.
Ugh. Will scratched at his head with a displeased look on his face. He wasn't at all interested in getting involved. But by now, he realized that he couldn't disobey Bernkastel's orders. Then, he approached the casket and pointed at its rose-filled insides. The roses did it. No, I'm kidding.
True.
And
Case
the
closed.
game falls apart. Bernkastel's like, how did you figure it out?
What did we say at the end of that Phasmo clip last year? Pack it up, boys!
Back it up, boys. This case is solved. What?
Burn.
Yeah. You ask me to solve the case of Beatrice's murder, but Van Dyne's 20 rules, rule number 7. It is forbidden to have a crime without a corpse.
That's a devil's proof. Maybe it just isn't inside the casket. Unless you can prove that no corpse exists. This is a mystery.
Rule number 1. It is forbidden to have a crime without all clues presented. Well, Will, methinks we have something akin to perhaps a long episode to watch.
Don't worry. Everything is gathered here.
Though there was no change to Will's unsatisfied expression, he seemed to have understood the general pattern of this place. The simple fact that a mere inquisitor of heresy had been summoned by an uninhibited, fickle, cruel great witch of the Senate meant that he'd be treated as no more than a mere underling. All along, he had possessed no way to refuse her. So, who killed the owner of this empty coffin? I'll answer that question. However, you'll let me do things my way.
As you like.
First off, I need to make you understand the current situation.
Yes, that would be extremely helpful at the moment.
Here's 6 books. No, I'm kidding. Leon's expression seemed nonplussed, angry, and confused all at the same time.
See, hearing the word nonplussed makes me think of freaking 1984. That's double plus good.
Dang. Over here. It'll be faster to see it for yourself.
Wonderful. Please lead the way.
Will signaled with his chin for my brain keeps wanting to read it as lion, Leon to follow him and spun around. After snorting once in an unsatisfied manner, Leon followed him, as though resigned to see Will's little show. As she watched them leave the chapel, Berncastel sneered silently at them, a cold smile on her face.
As the Miko of the Great Witch of Theatre going, drama, and spectating, Featherine something, our Aurora, and as the Witch of Miracles, I, Berncastel, announce the start of this game. The tale's title is Requiem of the Golden Witch. Spin a tale fitting for Beato's funeral. Well now, let's see just how you drag out the guts.
I need to go back to, like, the first episode Berncastel's in, because I feel like my voice for her has drastically changed.
I
over
feel that
time.
way. Honestly, I do. I feel like that's happened for me between every episode,
Yeah.
or every stream we do for every character, except a few. There's a few I got locked, like Memon.
She watched until the pair had left the chapel. I distinctly remember me trying to be a lot more lolly with her when she very first appeared, and she is not that anymore.
That's fine. She ought not be anyway. She has
Yeah.
a very deep voice in the anime and such. So
She watched until the pair had left the chapel. Berncastel's form evaporated into the empty air, just as she had arrived. All that remained... sorry. All that remained was her unpleasant cackling.
yeah,
Look, it's Leon.
yeah.
New room. Actually, no, not new room. This is Kuadorian. Or at least looks like it. If, that is to say, if that flashback we had where we met Virgilia for the first time was in Kuadorian. Outside, it was still raining. When Canon saw the guest and the successor approaching the reception desk, he bowed deeply. This could also just be like some alt Rokkenjima mansion. So,
Good work. You can take a break now, so would you mind leaving?
It's canon. Yes, as you wish.
Canon being like, she couldn't keep Jessica around. She just had to insert. Canon bowed deeply, then disappeared. Although, this does present the prospect of Canon and Jessica being much more close than they were ever able to be in the other timelines. Fragments, I should say. Don't you remember the names of all your servants?
Our family has many young servants coming in and out, and they're usually replaced quite frequently. Well now, what are you trying to explain to me? Who are you, and what business do you have with this family? Of course, there's no need to convince me. Feel free to head on home if you want.
There is no going home. Not for me. Not for anyone.
Could you please give that a rest? Stop speaking in confusing riddles like that all the time. Even I have limits to my patience. If you don't want me to see you off, should I call Genji Ogoda?
Don't freak out. Look at this.
Yes, I can see that. It's one of the memorial roses. Are you going to show me some kind of magic trick?
Precisely.
Will took one of the flower offerings, then showed it to Leon, as though pointing out that there were no mechanisms or tricks. Then, he slowly lifted it upwards. Watch.
Yes, I'm watching. Is the dove going to fly out of it? Or is it going to be flags and fireworks? Huh?
Will threw the rose. Anyone would have expected it to fly in an arc and land in some puddle. It didn't, which is why Leon had been struck dumb. The rose thrown by Will certainly had flown in an arc. It should have sped or on rapidly through the air. However, as soon as it passed from the shade of the eaves and was about to reach the rain, it stopped, right in midair, as though the air surrounding it had turned into syrup.
Ew.
Gonna make me crave waffles.
That made me, like, imagine walking through syrup air.
Ugh.
Yes!
That wasn't all. As it hung in midair, the rose's beautiful golden petals began to darken one after another. And it became a black husk, like burnt charcoal. And even after this happened, it remained suspended there in the air.
This is another one of the new background songs. This one's called Reflection Call. Weird.
What sort of trick is this? Ah,
Don't move. Leon had moved closer to try and touch the remains of the rose, which still hung in the air. First character to be like, let me investigate how this magic trick is done.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 7.
I'm not sure, but I think you will come to like Leon and Willard as investigative people.
Okay. Will had roughly blocked the way with his arm. It was as though he was telling Leon that leaving this place meant certain death. This chapel has been cut off from the fragment. We're currently locked in a concentrated loop of time. Imagine some guy shows up to a funeral that your family's hosting, and your dad's just like, yeah, just hang around with him for a minute. And the second your family disappears, he's like, listen, we're locked in a time loop outside of the regular dimensions of space. You gotta, look, throws a rock into the air and suspends it. Like,
Oh, when I pass away, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make that happen to one person. I don't know whoever's last to show up, frankly. Anyway.
oh. Also, true, Onklet, I did want to mention that earlier, but I kind of just forgot in the moment. But I was thinking, Berncastell's representation has kind of changed a lot as the story has gone on, so I do think the voice changing has kind of fit that. My own mental perception of her has changed her voice a little bit as she has become far more monstrous as the story has gone on.
True, she even described herself as such last episode.
Yes.
Anyway.
what? Do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? Explaining's a pain, so I'll just give you the short version.
How have we not added that to our soundboard yet? Sorry.
Basically, unless we play along with that witch's game, no one can leave this place.
What? The funeral's already over. I'm sure some people will want to return to the mansion or the guest house. We can't be locked up in here.
If you've got a bone to pick, that witch is the one you're looking for. Being stuck in a place like this isn't any more pleasant for me.
That girl's your friend, right?
No.
Make her stop all this weirdness.
She's probably sitting in a spectator seat with a bucket of popcorn about now. She won't come if we just call her.
What on earth is going on?
That short sentence described all of Leon's feelings at that moment. However, Leon had seen the rose Will threw wither in an instant in the rainy darkness. Leon tried doing the same thing with another rose, but the effect was exactly the same. No one would want to use their own body to test this fearsome something that could make roses crumble instantly. It's actually specifically disintegrates roses force field. You'd be fine.
Get Yoda.
Goda! Leon can't remember his name.
Yeah, true.
There's only one way for us to be released from here. We have to play along with Berncastell's game.
You mean the one about who killed Beatrice?
That's what she's telling us to investigate. If you could fill me in, this'll go more quickly. That fickle witch will be completely satisfied. You'll be able to get rid of the two of us, and I have a date with Deanna when I get back. Man's hitched.
Yeah.
If I keep her waiting too long, she'll start tearing up the sofa again. What? Honestly, knowing the cast of what all the girls look like that are from the Court of Heaven, she's probably a cat girl.
Close.
Dang. Wait, do we meet Deanna? Do we?
No,
okay.
we do not. I don't believe we do. Anyway.
Who killed Beatrice, you say? That's hardly something you should go barging into a funeral and asking the family about.
Questioning the family is one of the basics of the mystery genre. Just give up and accept it. I do know that Beatrice is the mistress of Kinzo, the family head.
You really are a strange person. How do you know so much about this family? Are you sure you have no connections with us?
6 games. No. Actually, true though. That is probably how he knows so much. Will knew this much about the Ushiromiya family because Bernkastel had showed him all of the fragments so far. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Of course, he had no sort of connection with the Ushiromiya family himself. The very plane of existence, the very plane of his existence, was on a different level. However, Beatrice died a long, long time ago. According to Genji, she passed away before the mansion was completed, but the reason for her death is unclear. What was that? Well, no, the mansion was completed at that point. Because Rosa was a little girl and they lived in the mansion.
Goda, I don't know.
Goda. The 2 scapegoats for everything.
Yeah.
If it's not anyone else, it's Goda. It all points back to Goda. You know?
Yep.
Where was I in this? I'll just read the whole thing. However, Beatrice died a long time ago. According to Genji, she passed away before the mansion was completed, but the reason for her death is unclear. To be honest, this is the first I've heard about her being killed. Tell me about it.
My name is Ushiromiya Leon.
That's not what I asked you at all. Willard. Call me Will. For the first time, Will introduced himself. Their mutual introduction was finally complete, and Leon was finally able to talk with him on an even footing. They're gonna be best bros by the end of this.
Bros, you say?
What? However, Leon took a deep breath and looked up at the sky, wearing a vague smile.
Will-san.
Call me Will. I'll call you Leon.
Will. To be honest, even I don't know much about this person called Beatrice.
I see. I guess it's called a game for a reason. If only Leon could have told him everything, revealing the truth without any effort from Will. Apparently, things wouldn't be so easy after all. That would be really funny. if Game 7
Yeah.
was just, yeah, this is how everything happened exactly. I can say it all in red, too. I can confirm that all of it happened exactly this way.
Mm-hmm. It's that easy.
Everyone who enters the Ushomiya family knows the name and image of Beatrice.
That's because of the massive portrait hanging in the entrance hall, isn't it? That portrait was first displayed in April of 1984.
Seriously, how is it that you know so much? Well, it's about time I stopped finding that odd. I'm sure you'll just start speaking in riddles again.
Leon was the successor and lived in the head household. That made conversations with Kenzo an everyday occurrence. Because of that, Leon must have been used to chatting with people who were moody or hard to follow. With the understanding that getting stuck on the details would be nothing but a waste of time, the conversation naturally fell into a pattern as though Leon and this unknown man Will were longtime friends.
Everyone knows Beatrice. It came free with your Umineko no Naku Koro ni.
I don't know her. I don't know who would even say that. Now I think about it, I'm pretty sure everybody does know her, even the people from 1998.
Exactly.
Crazy.
And yet, no one knows her. Kinzo's the only one who's ever met her.
The head seems to be particularly cranky today. I'll introduce you to him when the chance presents itself. So I ask that you develop an appropriately discreet attitude, Wilson.
That was quick. I thought you'd resist a bit more than that.
Saying Wilson sounds like Wilson, and it's upsetting me. Anyway.
It's just like when Ava says Nissan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm used to speaking with the family head. I've learned to accept most unreasonable situations and just go with the flow.
Bernkastel had set up a barrier cutting the chapel off from the rest of the world. To destroy that, they would have to find out who killed Beatrice. For Leon, who had already experienced many of Kinzo's rantings, understanding this much was more than enough. Weird fade out.
Yeah, that's the chapter. We're too deep already. Prologue and the murder of Beatrice are over. You ready for what the next title is called, or the next chapter?
What's the next chapter called?
Rosa Confesses.
Dang! Wonder who killed Beatrice. I wonder.
I wonder. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I can't. Not looking good, Rosa. The Ushiromiya family members were relaxing here and there around the waiting room. A light buffet-style meal had been set up, but it was a bit stale and not particularly appealing. Even so, those voracious kids seemed to find it intensely interesting. The cousins had... What?
Where is he?
What do you mean, where is he?
Where's Battler?
Well, if this is the mid-1980s, he's probably not here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, well, yeah. Who knows? I mean, it hasn't been confirmed yet.
Let's
Has
see.
to be at least 1984 because he just talked about the portrait being there in 1984, and Leon was like, everyone knows Beatrice, and then inadvertently it was confirmed because of the portrait. So it has to be at least 84. Could be 85, could be 86, could be 97. Who knows?
Let's see.
Even so, those voracious kids seemed to find it intensely interesting. The cousins had set up camp around it, with Maria at the center. The adult siblings had also formed a group in a different corner. Perhaps because of Kinzo's absence, everyone seemed to be a little more relaxed. Dang.
Yeah.
Leon, where did you go? And who is that?
Mother, I was entertaining this guest of ours. Will, this is my mother, Natsuhi.
No introductions needed. I know your name, your social security number, and the 3 digits on the back of your credit card.
And your favorite season.
And your favorite season is autumn. No. Okay. How to make Nazi have a mental breakdown right now. Just tell me what you have to say.
Dang.
Huh? Did you say something?
No, he said nothing. This is Will's son. It seems he knew the deceased.
Am I crazy, or does Will have a very faint scar on his left cheek?
His left cheek?
And his right cheek, actually.
Where?
I see the slightest, like, gray mark. And it's making me wonder if there's a mark on my screen or if it's his face. And I keep rubbing my screen and it's not going away. So I think it's on his face, but I think I'm going crazy.
I'm not seeing it. Let me check, like, the OG model. Doesn't look like he has one.
I'm also looking in the stream, too. I don't see it in the stream. Am I losing it? Am I just crazy? Oh, wait, no, I do see it. There's an ever so slightly faint gray
You know
mark.
what it is? You know what it is? If it's the same thing I think we're looking at, it's the shade of his hair hanging over his cheeks.
Is it?
I think it is, if it's the same thing.
Well, no, but it's not like...
It's faint.
It's like you go to his left eye and go to the left corner of it and go straight down, and there's like a little curved gray space there.
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his hair.
Okay.
Hair shadow, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I also see one on the other side of his face, too.
I think that's the other hair fang. That little one that hangs over the right-hand side. It's got a little shadow, too.
I'm not sure. I'm giving up, though. I'm ignoring it.
I don't believe he has anything.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing, is what I'm getting from... It doesn't matter.
Either way, yeah.
With a smile, Leon casually smoothed over Will's words.
He wants to know more about Beatrice. Do you know anything about her mother?
Leon, the departed is an individual to whom the head owed a great debt. And nothing more, nothing less. This funeral is a ceremony for the head to repay his benefactor for all he received while that person still lived. That is what I have been told, and there is nothing more to it than that.
Thanks, Mother. Well, that's all my mother knows.
Natsuhi was eager to deny the scandal about Beatrice being Kenzo's mistress. However, she also had enough sense to realize that this scandal was probably true. Picking up that Natsuhi was in a bad mood and didn't want to talk about this anymore, Leon brought an end to that conversation before Will could say something rude again.
Well, this chapel belongs to the family.
So you're telling me to follow the family's rules?
Speak in a manner appropriate for a guest of the family. Let me be the medium for all of your conversations. I ask that you follow those 2 rules.
I'll work on that.
The mess this Bernkastel witch or whatever has dragged us into is a real pain. Because of that, I'm willing to help you. But we're equal partners in this job, and you'd best not forget that.
And here I thought you were just some well-bred rich kid. Seems you can speak up after all.
I must be prepared to shoulder the Ushiomiya family's future, after all.
Got it. Let's solve this crime together, Watson.
I'm glad I can help. I wouldn't want to keep your dear cat Diana waiting. Won't she need to be fed soon?
I gave her extra food today, so she should be good for a while. I'm surprised you realized Diana was a cat.
I figured it'd be just a bit too eccentric for her to be a human woman who scratches at sofas when you keep her waiting.
Honestly, probably more likely considering the author that it's that, and not just a cat. but, you know, sure, it can be just a cat. I'll welcome it.
It is just a cat.
So, who will you talk to first?
Anyone. Everyone. Those ones over there are Krause's siblings, right?
From right to left, there's Aunt Ava, Uncle Hideyoshi. Over there's Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kyrie. And over there is...
Ushiromia Rosa. When she was a girl, she once got lost in the forest and bumped into a woman calling herself Beatrice in a hidden mansion.
I know I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but you really do know everything, don't you?
So, you know about that story too?
Oh my god, my voice. Sorry. Something just got caught in my throat.
Yeah.
2.
I managed to overhear her saying that today. It looked as though it was bothering her, so I pretended not to hear.
Real model student you are. Introduce me. I want to ask about it.
You're asking this of the model student who pretended not to hear because it just might be a painful topic?
Even this outrageous arrogance is nothing compared to Kinzo. After muttering this several times mentally, Leon shrugged and nodded at will.
Oh, it's our successor, Sama. And who is this?
And what is this?
Oh, Aunt Ava. This is Wilson. He came to offer flowers for the departed.
But who cares about that? Tell me everything you know about...
He says he wants to know what sort of relationship the Ushiromiya family has had with the deceased.
Leon spoke with a bright smile after pinching Will's butt. Dang! Went in for it. Will silently protested, as though saying, I saw that coming, but damn, that hurt. But Leon just played dumb and smiled at Ava like a model student. There.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even if you say relationship with the Ushiromiya family...
It probably makes more sense to say her relationship with father.
No need to beat around the bush. She was father's mistress.
If you call her that, Natsunine-san will yell at you again. He's indebted to her, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Well, there you have it.
I have no interest in anyone but Rosa.
Man, random man, comes to your funeral. Your brother's son introduces him to you. You all basically say, yeah, no, we're pretty sure he was Dad's mistress. He says, y'all are boring.
The only way they could make this better is if Maria went up to him and like tugged on his coat and said, Dad?
I have no interest in anyone but Rosa.
I do believe that you said you met with Beatrice, Aunt Rosa.
Oh boy.
This whole time, Rosa had been hanging her head. Leon's words made her shoulders quiver.
Another new song here is just called Rain. She just suddenly came out with it today. It's a bit hard to believe. It's the truth. I killed Beatrice.
Perfect. Our work here is finished.
Dang.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Rosa broke down crying and laid her head on the table. Kyrie and Hideyoshi tried to console her.
Rokkenjima is covered by a dense forest. We only know about one tiny portion of it. Just the mansion, the rose garden, and the little path that leads to the arbor. For years, there's been stories about how Dad built a hidden mansion somewhere in the vast forest that no one knew about. And that he had a mistress living there.
Rosa-san probably stumbled on the hidden mansion by chance.
However, what does this have to do with Aunt Rosa killing Beatrice?
If I hadn't taken her out with me, she never would have died. She was so innocent, like a chick.
Like a chick, you say?
I took her out, and she just followed along obediently. She stayed right behind me, trusting me completely. And because I made her take such a dangerous path...
Did you make her walk that way because you were hoping she'd slip and fall from the cliff?
I never meant to do that. I just thought she'd like to see the ocean. No, it just looked like the path would be hard to walk. And I thought it would be easier going if we went down the cliff first.
That's not what it means to kill someone. It was an accident.
An accident she never would have had if I hadn't brought her with me, right? It's my fault. And then I abandoned her when she was covered in blood and ran home.
It isn't your fault. Beatrice had never seen the ocean before. You showed her that for the first time ever. She was probably so excited that she just happened to take a bad step.
How can you know that?
Beatrice might thank you for what you did, but she would never hate you.
Really? Is that really true?
She's the one who begged to see the world outside the fence, right? Though it was only for a short while, you made that dream of hers come true. If I were Beatrice, I'd thank you for that short bit of time. If she knew that you'd been suffering all this time for it, she'd probably feel sorry for you. Beatrice is grateful for what you did. You're the one who taught her that the sea is blue.
Is that true?
I guarantee it. Will made that statement openly and boldly. It wasn't clear how Rosa took those words. However, it had apparently been enough to remind Rosa to take a handkerchief out of her pocket and wipe her eyes with it.
Thank you.
Those are the words Beatrice is whispering to you even now.
Thank you.
Rosa wiped her eyes with the handkerchief one more time and hung her head. It no longer looked like a fit of sobbing, but more as though she was speaking with the Beatrice of that day within her heart. One last time.
You really have no problem making claims you could never back up, don't you?
Stupid, silly, I have the red. Back up. Is that really necessary to comfort a woman? Dang!
Dang. And he has a cat.
It seems I underestimated you.
How many years did it torment Rosa? Now, finally, she would probably be able to face that innocently smiling Beatrice, who had seen the ocean for the first time in her life. She was the only one who could forgive Rosa. Now, the two of them could finally speak together.
I don't know who you are, but thank you. I wonder if she'll forgive me.
You've worried about it for nearly 20 years. That's far too long. She'd tell you that you've suffered more than enough already.
That's right, Aunt Rosa. The sadder you are, the sadder Beatrice would be. You too. Thank you. I don't know if I'll be forgiven, but I'll keep on speaking to my heart to see whether she'll forgive me or not. Thanks, you too. Sorry for showing you such an embarrassing side of me.
And I'm sorry to say this right after saying something so pretty. But I want you to talk to me. Tell me what happened back then.
Wilson!
That really sounded like Wilson.
Right? Especially said in isolation.
Thanks, but it's fine. I'll talk. Hiding this and keeping quiet about it for so long might have been my greatest sin.
Exactly when was it that you met Beatrice? Upon hearing this question, Rosa closed her eyes lightly, reaching back to a past she didn't want to remember.
How crazy is it that out of all the characters, the only time you've been the detective is when we specifically chose for you to be the detective?
True.
Because I've
I was
always
gonna
been
say something
Battler.
Similar.
And now I'm Will, and I was also Dillinor.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna mention this earlier as well because I think it's kind of funny, probably even good. Every author that's been like referenced, like Knox and Will, so I guess all two of them, but
Well, they've mentioned like Christie and people.
True.
Yes.
But instead of using the names of the detectives they made in their fictions, Ryukishi chose to just use the names of the authors.
Yeah.
And I kind of prefer it, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. Especially because I looked up what Willard's detective was.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty not good, I think.
Like, not good, like, just a stupid name, or not good, like, you can't say it on stream?
You can say it. Give me a second. I gotta find it one more time. The name is Philo Vance. Or Philo Vance.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not...
okay.
I don't like it.
No.
I don't know what Knox's was, if he even had one. I'm sure he did. But, yeah, The name, however, Willard H. Wright, though, I think goes hard.
Mm-hmm.
And Knox. Ronald Knox does not, but
Congratulations to
Dylan
Ronald Knox and
Knox
Willard
does.
H. Wright.
yeah. His middle name's actually kind of hard. His name is Huntington.
Dang.
I just kind of like it as a name. Like, it's obviously it's a name for cities, but I like the name Huntington. Not as a first name, but it's a great middle name. Or last name.
What the etymology of that is, because you get names for a reason, and I wonder how Huntington became a name.
No idea. I think about that with a lot of that time frame, like from the early 1900s to late 1800s, or I guess vice versa. The naming convention there was freaking wild, and I love it. You see it in like public figures and altars and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's also Ambrose Bierce.
Yes.
That name's freaking sick too. There's some sick uns out there, man. Anyway,
There's some
let's jump
sick
back to it.
people out there that name their kids things like Willard.
Okay, yeah, that one, it might have gone cooler if it was Amber. Well, but then you wouldn't have WHW. I don't know.
True.
Anyway.
It was about 20 years ago. wait, it might have been 19 or 18 years ago. I'm sorry. I've tried to force myself to forget it for so long that I've nearly forgotten that part completely.
It should have been 1967. Ronove had guaranteed that with the red in the third game.
That's right. It was probably about 1967. I can remember what happened as clearly as a picture.
We're just not gonna worry about that second part. We're just not gonna talk about what he said. Okay.
It wasn't said with quotations, so that makes me think it was either A, he said
internal.
that internally, or it was not meant to be spoken and it was like supposed to be a narrative line. They just
True.
forgot to fix
Okay.
it.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait.
Sorry.
I don't know if I got that. Double check. No, okay, I did. Sorry.
You're good.
If it's tough for you, don't feel like you have to tell us.
True, Duke Onklid. I like to see that the characters represent the author names because they represent the rules of the authors as well.
Indeed, it goes beyond just their characters' fictions.
Yeah.
Yes, clear as a picture, if you don't mind. But... Damn it. That hurts, Leon.
What does?
They got friendly real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, I was in a state of shock, since my tutor told Mother about something that was supposed to be a secret. On that day, I became reckless, and I kept on running deeper and deeper into the forest.
What secret, Rosa?
That's me. This tale has also been told in a previous fragment.
Whoopsie.
Back when Rosa was just a kid, she went deep into the forest, found a hidden mansion, and met with a mysterious woman who called herself Beatrice.
But that forest is so thick, even pushing your way through a bit of it is hard, right? I even surprised myself. To think that I made it so far into such a dense forest. I was tormented by twigs and sharp leaves over and over again. However, that wasn't enough to bother me on that day. After all, I wanted to disappear into the forest and vanish forever. If by some chance there really was a witch's mansion in the depths of the forest, I hoped that she might take me to some paradise, or else turn me into a frog and make me resident of the forest.
So Rosa's the one who's actually not real, and everyone's been collectively hallucinating that she exists since 1967. Got it.
Frogza.
That makes me think more of the, like, red arrow pointing to red circle, and it's like someone trying to do a Frieza meme.
Yeah.
So, you then reached the hidden mansion, Kobodorian, and met a woman who called herself Beatrice.
Yes, I met her.
Was that Beatrice the same as the one in the portrait?
Yes, they were the same person. Beautiful blue eyes, golden hair, a black dress. It truly was the person in that portrait. When Father first had it hung, I realized that the 20 years I'd spent trying to forget must have seemed just as long to Father, if not even longer. And I became even more fearful of my sin.
Stop there. Are we sure that this is the same Beatrice that Rosa-san met?
Immediately, Kyrie spoke the question that Will had been thinking of. This is kind of off topic.
Yeah.
What do you think those little balls are back on the food trays? I've been looking at them.
Which ones?
The little, like, white, there's the little finger sandwiches.
Between the sandwiches?
Yeah, and they just got white spheres in between them. Because, like, some of that looks like it might be fried food, right? Because it's got, like, the golden tinge of fried food. So the ones on the bottoms, those are probably, like, some kind of dumpling. But what are the orbs? What?
I have no idea, because they're not... Well, I don't think they're symmetrical.
I don't know.
Because my guess was going to be they're simply decorative. Because if you look at the finger sandwiches even further in the background, they're also spaced out the same way. So it makes me think that those are there, and thus the sandwiches can't be there because they're just a decorative part of the platter.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it doesn't look like they're symmetrical because there's one on the left side, two on the right.
Well, there is a little bit of a shape on the
You
left
can
that makes it look like
kinda
there should
see
be
one
a
on the
second
left,
one,
right?
but they kind of
Yeah.
didn't complete it. So maybe
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. But also,
don't
it
know.
was probably just the CG artist being like, I need something to put in this space.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, circles. So
Balls. Anyway.
the Ushiromis are eccentric. They'll have some weird orb food. It would be too rash to assume that the Beatrice Kenzo met and the one Rosa met were the same person. The time and generation didn't match up. Well, we know that there's a continuous line of Beatrices that occur when the last one dies. And then one appears.
Beatrice is supposed to be that lady of leisure who lent Dad all that gold shortly after the war, right?
Gold. Canadian
I got
gold.
messed up because I got lady of leisure that lent, and that the L's threw me off.
Lady of Leisure that lent the gold.
Yes.
By using Beatrice's gold as a foundation, Father revived the Ushiromi family and got super rich. Then he bought Rokkenjima and moved over. Rosa-san meeting her must have been at least 10 years after that.
A woman who could do as she pleased with 10 tons of gold could hardly be some little girl. And 10 more years passed before she met Rosa.
Looks at Lambda Delta and Bernkastel.
Rosa, about how old did the Beatrice you met look? She looked older than I was at the time. But even so, it looked as though she might just be reaching adulthood. Yes, just the sort of age of the Beatrice in the portrait. Does she look middle-aged or past her prime? If I had to call her an adult or a child, she was clearly closer to being a child. There's no way she was middle-aged. Isn't that strange? We have the Beatrice you met and the Beatrice who gave Father the gold. But their ages don't match.
In other words, they're different people.
Different people who look very similar and have the same name?
Kenzo theory.
It might have been her daughter. A kid would obviously end up looking like her mother.
I, for some reason, just thought Curio was about to be like, nope. My daughter has red hair.
True, me looking at Leon with blonde
Yeah,
hair.
true. Well, Jessica has
And
blonde
Jessica,
hair.
I guess, but Natsuhi does not.
Yeah. Nazi just doesn't have the strong hair gene, apparently.
I guess.
His mistress's daughter. It is possible. Perhaps father had an illegitimate child with the Beatrice who gave him the gold.
And then Rosa bumped into Beatrice the second. That way the ages fit just fine.
I see. In other words, there are two people who can be called Beatrice.
Kenzo secretly raised his mistress's child in a hidden mansion. It made sense. Everyone nodded, agreeing. However, Will's expression was slightly unsatisfied, and he scratched at his head.
So, it would seem that this funeral exists for the two Beatrices he couldn't mourn because they were kept secret.
Rosa, I know you probably don't want to remember, but tell me about that accident. After Beatrice fell, was she still breathing?
No. Her eyes were open wide. She fell upside down head first and knocked her head against a sharp crag on the rocky beach.
Ooh.
And she fell from such a height. Her skull had split and caved inwards.
Ooh.
That beautiful golden hair was stained red with blood almost instantly.
Was it the sort of wound that clearly showed that she was dead?
Yes. I saw the insides of her cracked head. It had caved in deep enough to fit your fist inside it.
No one could be naive enough to see that and still hope that she was alive.
Will, do you really need to ask anything more?
That's enough for the time of the accident. What did you do afterwards?
I dashed away at full speed. I can't say I was thinking about calling for help. I wanted to escape from that place as fast as I could. Half crazed, sobbing and out of breath, I kept on running about at random. Eventually, I came across a familiar lion statue.
Oh, the one in front of the chapel.
No, the one behind it. Anyway, I made it back to the mansion. I couldn't tell anyone and I didn't want to. I stayed quiet until nightfall. It was so horrible of me. If I had hurried and told someone, they might have brought her a first aid kit and she might have been saved.
Rosa. I know you feel bad, but come on. Be realistic.
Putting on a Hello Kitty bandage. There you go.
Yeah.
How was a first aid kit going to help with a crushed cranium? You didn't kill her. Don't worry about that anymore.
Then, what did you do next? That night, I turned over in my bed so many times. I couldn't sleep. Late that night, I quietly called Genji-san on the phone and told him.
What did he say?
He told me to let him handle everything and to speak of this to no one. I spent the next several days terrified that father would call for me and scold me brutally. But he didn't. Genji-san kept on doing his job quietly, just like normal. Father stayed locked up in his study, not knowing any of it.
At the very least, none of us ever heard about it. I don't know what happened.
Oh, true. Duke Ongled said it looks like cheese.
Cheese balls?
Yeah.
Ball cheese?
Cheese balls. Ball cheese. Ball with the cheese on it.
Yeah,
Cheese balls.
sure. Or exceptionally large caviar balls. Probably not, though.
Dang.
That's like whale caviar.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Except whales don't do that, but
Shark caviar. No.
sharks also don't do that.
Dang, people caviar?
Don't say that!
Genji-san probably managed to clean everything up nicely.
After all, they couldn't let knowledge of that child go public.
Even if she was an illegitimate child, she was still his daughter by blood. It must have been tough for father, not being able to hold a real funeral for her.
I suppose that's why we're having this funeral.
And then,
That's all I know.
and that's all I know too.
I'm not hiding anything else. I've told you everything. I swear it.
But what if you haven't?
Where's Maria?
I need to beat my daughter. Will scratched at his head, letting his gaze wander. That would be a funny way to do that, is have Maria be like,
That's not everything! She's told me about so much more!
Yeah.
It had taken Rosa a lot of determination to make this confession, but it was nothing particularly special for Will. It had apparently been little more than a review of information he already knew.
Thanks, Aunt Rosa. Is that enough for you, Will? Are you satisfied?
That's enough. It was a nice review. To Will, Rosa's memories gave only information that was already known. This was the first time he'd heard all that about her running back to the mansion after Beatrice fell to her death,
But none of it was particularly surprising. He looks so angry all the time.
He is.
Apparently.
He wants to retire.
True. Shouldn't have shown up, shouldn't Apparently, Rosa didn't know any more than this. If he wanted to learn more than what was in the fragments Bernkastel gave him, he would need to find new testimony. Leon, tell Kinzo that I want to talk to him. It looks like we won't get anywhere without asking the man himself.
Where are you going?
Off to cool my head and organize my thoughts. Don't follow.
Well then, pardon me. Please take your time.
After giving an elegant bow, Leon made a face, tongue sticking out. Unless Will had eyes on the back of his head, he couldn't have seen this last bit. They don't call me Will Eyes on the back of my head right for nothing. Come here! Okay. Will returned to the chapel by himself. The cold air and the monotonous sound of the rain were comforting. I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably.
So, how's the game going?
And he had come here for a little peace and quiet. As soon as he let out a sigh of relief, that voice rang out. That's my line. It was as though she had been sitting there all along. Bernkastel appeared on top of the altar once more. Beatrice's altar must have been extremely comfortable.
Battler annoyed me over and over with his incompetence. You're quite competent compared to him, so it's much more relaxing to watch you work.
Unlike Ushiromiya Battler's games, I have nothing standing in my way. It's easy.
That sort of game is already ended. Tales can be enjoyed twice. First you love them, then you tear out their guts.
So I'm a butcher now.
So, do you think you figured out who killed Beatrice?
Rosa's confession is something I already know from a previous fragment. There was no brand new information. We're still at square one. Unless Ushiromiya Kinzo tells us what really happened, we won't get any further than this. Don't tell me that arguing with Kinzo and persuading him to spill the beans is supposed to be part of this game.
That'd be fatally boring. Kenzo refuses to speak of the truth and is himself the king protected by his castle. But it wouldn't be any fun to have that stand in the way of your game.
I won't torture. It's not my style.
I know. As the game master, I will grant you power, so that you can get the truth from Kenzo. Of course.
Still wearing shoes, but why are we specifying she's still wearing shoes? Why?
You had to know. You had to know.
Bernkastel stepped into the casket, picked up. Oh, okay, I guess for the image of who? Wait. That implies that it's like proper decorum if you're gonna step into a casket to take off your shoes.
No. He's just covering his bases for the feet people.
Uh-huh.
He's like, don't get too excited, freaks.
Don't get it twisted. Picked up one of the flowers that had been set as offerings, and blew hard, as though scattering fluff from a dandelion.
What's even happening anymore?
Then a single petal broke off and drifted down towards Will. No longer gold, but with the shine of a transparent crystal. Big blue. The detective's authority.
What? That pathetic ability? No. This is an invitation to the grandstands.
Theater-going authority. That's supposed to be forbidden without authorization from the Senate.
I'm the one giving it. On my game board. Who's going to stop me?
Huh. Though the crystal flower petal danced in the wind, it wouldn't fly away until Will accepted it. He remembered how useless it was to argue with witches and snatched it up. Theater-going authority. When he did, the petal flashed brightly for an instant, melted into Will's palm, and disappeared.
Entertain me if you can, and try to enjoy yourself. You must also be interested in seeing what the guts of Beatrice's game board look like, right?
Not really. After Will's rude answer, Bernkastel vanished into thin air, leaving behind an obnoxious laugh. After clicking his tongue, Will turned around unhappily. When he did, it felt as though his gaze had crossed that of a shadow standing right in front of him, near the door that led outside. Who is it? OMG Shannon, hi!
Pardon me. I heard a voice, so I wondered who it was.
Ah, Shannon. So, you're running the reception desk this time?
Yes. I've been taking it in turns with Canon-kun to run the reception desk.
And Canon.
A short while ago, he was ordered by, Leon-sama to take a break, so he's resting now.
He's with Jessica. So, you don't know Leon either?
Huh? No, that's not...
Ushiromiya Leon is the successor, the one who wears the silver ring. Why are you stumbling over that name when you've worked here for 10 years?
That's...
Don't worry. I don't recognize Leon either. Kraus is supposed to be the successor. Jessica is supposed to be his only child. There hasn't been a single fragment with anyone named Leon in the Ushiromiya family. When she realized that Will didn't recognize Leon either, Shannon relaxed. Apparently, she was a bit relieved to find that she wasn't going crazy by herself. However, her expression quickly grew uncertain once more.
Where is this place? I think it's the Ushiromiya family chapel. However, something feels different about it. Also, I never knew that someone named Leon-sama existed. And yet Madame Kraus-sama, the master milady, and all the relatives all talk as though it's perfectly natural. I just don't understand what's happening.
Leon is a piece placed by Bernkastel. She also said that in order to place that piece, she switched over to a larger cat box. On top of that, it seems this world isn't a proper world, but one made out of several different fragments sewn together. Interesting. It's as though this is a special stage set up specifically for this game. I'm sure she's nodding at my thoughts right now, laughing and chomping down on popcorn. How long have you worked here in this world?
10 years.
I see. So it really is a special stage. After all, right when I entered the chapel, I spotted Kinzo. Since Shannon has been working here for 10 years, this world takes place in 1986, the stage of Beato's game. In that case, Kinzo shouldn't exist. However, he definitely was here a few minutes ago. Different Kinzo theory. He simply has the same name. Although, now it's been said and read that everyone's names are their names, right? And they can't have someone else's name.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. What does that mean then? There's only 16 people too. What's going? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Kenzo's not here. That's just someone who's using the name Kenzo. But okay, but no one would mistake him. So does that mean that still works because it's technically his name because he's using the name Kenzo? But he's not that Kenzo, so no one would mistake him. He's not the real Kenzo.
I think it's just a special stage, buddy.
I hate you, Burkestel. I hate you.
Burkestel promised that all of the information needed for reasoning was gathered here. She must have really packed it together to fit everything in. I see. So it really is a special stage. A special stage that can contradict previous reads? Or not necessarily contradict them, but confuse them?
One thing that comes to mind is that the red truth that it is in reference to Kinzo is Kinzo is dead at the start of all games. And I know that Burnkestel said that
She said the game started after we saw him.
That's true as well.
Sorry, that's just humorous to imagine they all leave the room. Kenzo goes away, drops dead somewhere.
Yeah. Otherwise, if I remember correctly, on her casket it says October 5th, 1986, which is post the game, isn't it?
I thought that was the second
last day of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So technically it should still be the game. It's just the last day of the game.
Or after, because
or after.
If, this would be very quick to assemble in.
Yeah.
On the day of her death. So.
But who's to say she's the one doing the game?
Either way, I think the point of it is just that Burnkestel's making a frigged up game board by sewing things together.
Looks like cheese to me.
Exactly.
Sorry, I just keep looking down at that Duke Onklin. It's the last message in the chat, so I just keep seeing looks like cheese to me. And I'm like, dang.
True. The phone is connected.
Oh.
You've served the Ushiromiya family for many years. So just how much do you know about Beatrice? Yeah, how much do you know about Beatrice, Shannon?
Nothing.
I know the master loved her deeply, but other than that...
Is that all?
And, they say that she's the master of Rokkenjima's knight.
That's right. The name of the ghost rumored to wander the mansion night after night is also Beatrice. And that brings the number of Beatrices to 3.
Beatrice.
The first is the Beatrice from more than 30 years ago, who is said to have given Kinzo the gold. The second is the Beatrice from 20 years ago, who met Rosa. And the third is the Beatrice of the ghost stories, who is rumored to be the master of the night on Rokkenjima. Furudo Erika's reasoning was probably correct. It started out as a legend of evil spirits on Rokkenjima. Later on, elements such as Kinzo's occult hobbies, the name and portrait of the mysterious woman Beatrice, and the epitaph got mixed in, and it was all integrated into the legend of the Golden Witch. Then, the darkness of the night gained the personality of a witch. That's the third Beatrice. This became the veil for the serial murders.
What, is there more that you know that you're not telling us, Shannon? Is there something else in the equation that we're missing here, Shannon? Come on, speak up. Apparently, she didn't understand a word of Will's sudden monologue. Oh yeah, no, sure, she doesn't. Oh yeah, no. Shannon tried to follow along, but she seemed to be having difficulty.
Looks like cheese to me.
Don't waste your time trying to understand. You'll just get a headache.
My apologies.
My apologies.
Shut up. Canon doesn't know Leon either, right?
Yes. Canon-kun was the same as me.
Shannon and Canon, is it? Call Canon over here. I want to talk to the pair of you about something. When Will said these words, Shannon's face went blank and her eyes went wide.
My apologies. We aren't allowed to leave the reception desk unmanned, so I can't leave to go get him.
Then find a replacement and have them take over the reception desk until you get back. You, me, and Canon. We, the three people who don't know Leon, need to talk.
We've been told that one person is enough to run the reception desk.
But no one told you there was anything wrong with two people manning it, right?
We're low on helpers today, so we were told that having two people at the reception desk would be unnecessary.
Why is she being sus about this? What's going on? Who gave you that order? Kinzo? Kraus? Or was it Leon? I will check with them.
It was the one who orders me. I cannot disobey orders.
Who is this person? I'll negotiate with them.
This new song is 7 Weights.
You cannot negotiate. It is the one who orders us.
What is going on? Call Canon over here. I hate theater going just as much as I hate torture. Slowly, Will pulled his right hand out of his pocket. When he slowly opened his fist, a small, bright glow emanated from it. What is he able to do with his theater-going authority? The flower petal given to him by Berkestel had become a glowing, sparkling mark on his hand. He held that hand outwards towards Shannon, and slowly approached her. He's pulling his authority out!
Real.
Call Canon. I want to check something with you two.
I cannot call him. Do you still want me to?
If you don't call him, I'm going to use my authority.
If you insist, I can call him specially for you, but
There was some kind of incomprehensible tension between the two. Will stood there, his left hand still in his pocket and his right palm glowing and stretched out towards her. Shannon just stood there, her hands still folded politely in front of her, her posture beautiful. And yet, it felt oddly as though windswept drops of rain were sparkling and crackling in midair.
Canon-kun, are you absolutely certain?
Will's expression had remained unchanged the whole time. Shannon's face was still kind and gentle. And yet, the tension was as icy as a frozen lake. Beginners in chess will sometimes move their king into check without noticing it. One might mercilessly capture the king in this situation, but high-level players are supposed to calmly tell their opponent about their mistake. If you take one more step, you'll get captured. This was similar to that. I see. So, after all, I get it. That's enough. You guys can take it in turns to run the reception desk. Slowly, Will lowered his hand. How's he going to get captured if he doesn't have an enemy that he's fighting?
Well, it's not an enemy. This wasn't his enemy's move. This was Shannon's move.
Thank you for understanding.
The glow slowly vanished from Will's palm. That completely incomprehensible tension melted away like a sugar cube in water. However, nothing had changed since the beginning. Will's expression and Shannon's expression were the same as they had always been.
Oh, are you leaving?
Footsteps approached them. It was Leon. Just having a casual conversation. I wanted to ask her something.
What could that be? Did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah.
I'm honored to have been of service.
Yeah.
That's a shame. If you were looking for an umbrella, I could have gotten you one right away.
Did you convince Kinzo?
I told him that a rare guest wanted to greet him. He says he'll meet with you.
Did you tell him that I wanted to ask about Beatrice?
Isn't that your job?
With a slightly mischievous look, Leon turned away. Will scratched his head and shrugged, looking annoyed. Well. Guess I'll get a chance to try this out at least. Will opened his right hand and showed it to Leon. It was just a hand, without anything remotely remarkable about it. Leon's head tilted towards the side in bafflement at this strange gesture.
Good work. Wait, your name was... It's Shannon. That's right, Shannon. Please take over at the reception desk. And make sure you keep warm. Thank you very much, Leon-sama.
Shannon bowed deeply in response to Leon's kind words. There was not even a trace of tension in her manner.
Let's go, Will. You don't want to miss this chance. The head's mood changes quicker than the autumn sky. Good luck.
Here we go.
That's that chapter.
Huh.
Now.
What?
What? What?
What just happened?
What do you mean? What just happened?
Stop doing that. You know what I mean. It's weird, and not in the normal Umineko weird way, like stuff that's never happened before weird is happening.
Shannon moved her king into check, and Will was a gentleman about it.
Was that what happened, or was it the opposite way around?
Not at all.
No? Okay.
Not at all. Will does not go into check. So I was going to tell you, I suppose we could go a little bit further if you want. I don't have anything to do. Well, I have to do stuff at 1 o'clock tomorrow, so I have a lot of time in the night.
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, we have gone for a bit, though. I think
That's
we're
true.
a little... about 2.5-ish hours, almost.
It's just things are about to get weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be best if
we
we do the
saved it?
next bit in its own chunk. Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Because the next bit is a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, we've started episode 7 now.
Let's see. Okay, everyone's in here now. Even
Yeah,
Battler.
okay.
Even though we haven't seen
Yeah.
him. He's here.
Mm-hmm. So, we can now read Leon.
Oh, true. There he is. From Kenzo. The first child of Kraus and Natsuhi. Jessica is their second child. Was given the silver ring of the successor to the headship and will succeed the position of family head upon turning 20. Mild, polite, and without any clear faults, except for being too young. Leon is a more suitable successor than anyone else, and is adored by Kenzo.
He
Interesting.
has the one-winged eagle twice.
Yeah. Interesting that he's adored by Kenzo.
Mm-hmm.
And it, just happens to have him coming from Kenzo instead of.
Well, they were out of space.
Oh yeah, they were out of space.
It was that or Rosa. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah. They definitely haven't moved any of these around before for people like Erica, or other people like this. And this one over here hasn't moved around at all. It's always been like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they don't do that. No.
Nope. That's all.
Okay.
Anyway. So, what do you think of episode 7 so far?
Well, certainly is weird.
As I say, welcome to our new framing devices, Leon and Willard.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, they sure did get friendly fast.
They're being silly. Look at those boots.
Those are silly boots.
Yeah.
Those honestly, the pants are what's silly. Imagine waking
Neither are
up and putting
particularly
that
good.
on every morning.
Nope, I'm good. Long hair.
That's the biggest twist. Twits. Kenzo doesn't hate a family member. Well, if you remember, last episode, we had that brief mentioning of Canon being like, Kenzo was really nice to me when no one else was around. Like, uncharacteristically nice to me. And we still don't know who the man from 19 years ago is. And it's heavily implied that the baby was probably Kenzo's illegitimate baby that he foisted upon Natsuhi to be like, here, adopt this child that I clearly just got from an orphanage and definitely isn't my illegitimate child. Because that would have been a pretty decent cover-up for that. If that is the case.
You like Will?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
He wears
It's nice,
blue.
nice to have a detective that's not an intellectual rapist, as he said in the
He's
beginning.
cool. Yeah.
We just be intellectual rapists.
And he has a necklace that kind of looks like a...
It's got a weird
anchor.
necklace. Yeah, it's an anchor, but it's
Yeah.
got like weird balls on it. Kind of like the
Yeah.
weird cheese balls.
Yeah.
Looks like cheese to me. All right. Well,
That's it.
any standard announcements for the rest of the week going forward? We are getting into that holiday season, so the schedule might change up,
True.
perhaps.
This week is... Well, let me think.
also,
This week is...
sorry,
what?
we neglected to mention it last time. New background for the menu
Oh, yeah.
stream.
Wow, look at the flowers.
It's Featherine's bookstore.
I'll out. This is my last week of regular streaming. I will not be able to do so as of next Tuesday.
Yep.
As such, we're doing my annual unarchived therapy session stream on Tuesday. But instead of Snaky Bus, because I feel like we played everything we could last time, I'm gonna play Hollow Cure, and I'm just gonna fish.
I saw that you had that scheduled, and I was like, dang. Because you've
I'm
been
just
talking
gonna
to me about
fish.
how you were like, I'm finishing Hollow Cure.
Hey, I figured this would be a good opportunity, especially since all I do to do that anyway is fish.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna sit there. I'm gonna fish. Now I also know for a fact though that while this is meant to be a very chill stream, I think that me doing the fishing in Hollow Cure is gonna make me unreasonably mad. But oh well. See, we'll do that. If you want to be there, be there. Otherwise, it'll be gone forever after it's done.
Yep.
Trying to think what else. Wednesday, I guess there'll be a podcast. I don't really know.
Hopefully. Maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because we didn't...
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm like...
I mean, I'm available. So...
I am on Tuesday. But... So we'll see about that. Thursday, we'll be back for Umineko.
Yep.
And it seems like Jordan might stream again on the weekend or Friday, maybe?
And next Sunday, we should be back here again as well, I believe.
True. I think largely the Umineko won't be disrupted because we can still make it work.
Yes. If at all any of them do get disrupted, I would foresee it being one of the Sunday ones because that's when it's more likely for us to do like holiday things is on a weekend. When we might have to go to family places and do things. But again, we'll probably know that in advance, so we'll let you know.
True. And almost thankfully this year, though the big holidays that we're getting up and ready for are smack dab in the middle of the weeks. They're both on Wednesdays. So
you probably
or
won't have to
Tuesday
worry
if you
about
count
anything.
New Year's Eve. But so I think we'll be fine. The only other thing I could think is if we spend some time hanging out with our buddies.
True.
Trying to find a day that a schedule works. So just pay attention to the scheduled streams. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to do that from my laptop. Oh, well, I can still do that. But yeah. This week's looking A-okay, though. And soon, very soon, we're going to have the Nat 1 Plays Best of 2024.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a
bangers
friggin'
banger.
banger.
This one, so far, this was our year. We, got the most growth, I think, that we've had in a while this year.
True.
So
I feel like we've hit our stride in terms of our style as well.
Yeah. Umineko has really helped us along.
We know what we do now.
Yep.
So wait out for that. I'll try to schedule a premiere so that way you guys know when it's coming as soon as I get it. It's off to the editor right now.
Nice. Well,
that's it.
Nothing else? All right.
Nope.
Well then, for those of you who will be attending the stream on Tuesday, see you on Tuesday. For the rest of you, see you on Thursday. And for those of you who have watched to this point and are like, I'm done. I'm not watching Umineko anymore. I can't deal with it.
Sorry.
We were glad to have you while we had you.